Today we are Shahid, upstairs in a gallery. Can you tell us a bit more about this gallery and also about you? Who are you?
I'm Ded Posh, graffiti artist, community youth worker and activist as well. We're here in solidarity with the Palestinians today. In 1948, on this particular day, on the 15th of May, it's an event known as the Nakba, which means the catastrophe in Arabic. It represents the day when the Palestinians were forced to leave their homes. And what they did was they locked up they locked their houses in anticipation of being able to return. And unfortunately they didn't get the right to return, which is still a contentious issue today. And so what we've done is we've stood in solidarity with them, and the people of Bristol have kindly donated their spare keys to represent this ideal.
So this is about the houses that they cannot return to their homes, yes?
Precisely, yeah. Yesterday there was a peace vigil in Broadmead in central Bristol, and people were invited to hang their own keys on a washing line and write messages of solidarity on these keys here. So we brought them here to allow them to be displayed and read over a longer period of time where they won't get taken down by the public. We have the space for 2 weeks until the 29th of May. And we invite everyone to come down and bring their own keys down and just hang them on the wall in solidarity. We also have some blank keys as well for people to write their own messages on as well. And we've got all the relevant information as to what the Nakba entails. We've got free DVDs and free leaflets that people can take away. We also thought this was a perfect time to actually showcase the largest aerosol art painting that I've completed to date on canvas, which was based on Picasso's Guernica.
Is that the one?
Yeah.
Over there, yes?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's kind of ironic because Picasso was highly regarded as a genius, created over 30,000 pieces in his lifetime, and he wasn't politically charged or politically motivated at all until the bombing of this Basque town. It was a testing of weapons, basically, by a dictatorship, by an evil empire. And they just mercilessly bombed the place to bits, and he felt compelled to make this huge piece. My piece isn't even quarter the size of his one. His one is massive, and it hung at the 1936 World Fair, and it created a storm. And even when the Nazis came into Paris, they raided his house, and he had pictures of Guernica and little postcards, and they asked him, what was, who did this? What's this? And he goes, "Oh, you did this." And that was one of the key sort of underlying sort of pivotal moments in our history. One of those little jokes that artists tell to each other, that the power of art has the power to sort of represent things that we can't actually bring to words. It's a way of visually representing what actually happened. And as part of an aid convoy, the Road to Hope, which left Bristol on the 10th of October and got into Gaza on the 25th of November, we encountered so much struggle. But when we got there, we saw the abandoned buildings. They weren't abandoned; they were completely destroyed, decimated. I mean, it was whatever was left over from the Operation Gaza-Ded, which is what this piece is about. Essentially, I was working from Picasso's Guernica, and we painted this piece in solidarity with them to commemorate the end of Operation Gaza-Ded, which was on the 27th of January this year. We painted this piece in freezing cold winter. We had about 60 people turn up, and we just set up a cinema screen and we showed the film To Shoot an Elephant, which follows a Western paramedic going around Gaza. Mm-hmm. Initially, that film was intended to be just documenting how Gazan paramedics operate and stuff. But when Gaza-Ded kicked off, they really got into the action, and they covered a lot of horrific incidents as well, including violations of international law, like the firing of white phosphorus and the bombing of the UN hospital. Okay.
Can you tell us a bit more about this beautiful picture?
Sure. Yeah. Basically, I painted with Picasso's image of Guernica in front of me whilst I was painting, and through my own recounted experiences of the infrastructure damage in Gaza. They did bomb a lot of the civilian infrastructure as well. None of it was not military targets. 1,400 Palestinians were believed to be killed in the 22-day onslaught that was named as Gaza-Ded. We saw buildings that were UN buildings. We saw civil buildings that were internationally funded, like millions of pounds from governments internationally were ploughed into this building to allow them to just have the basic facilities that we have, like the Ministry of Agriculture and all the internal ministries were in this one building. And it was not a military target. Many civilian targets were hit
mercilessly. As we know, Israeli army, they got very good equipment, and it's So it's hard to believe that they missed the targets, and it should be it was a purpose. Yes, they've done it. That's what many people
Yeah, they deliberately
believe.
targeted civilians and children. 437 children were killed during the Operation Cast-Lead. There's a child in there who's sort of been cradled by his mother, a dead child, and that represents the 437 children that lost their lives. The golden horse in the middle, following on the same composition lines as Picasso's Guernica, represents the UN hospital and how it was a blatant disregard of humanitarian law. They knew the coordinates of this building. They knew that this building, people fled to this building to actually escape the terror and torture, and there were critically injured people in there. That represents the devastation and carnage.
So is it correct if I said that your art is trying to tell people the real story, what's happened there, and you like to actually inform people by art?
Yes, precisely, yeah. I like to use art as a means to communicate how I feel towards this. I mean, before I got involved in this, I mean, all I did was paint kind of happy images. I had my own visual language, my own way of communicating things visually. And when I heard about the atrocities that went on, I felt I had to act. And especially once meeting the people of Palestine, I understood the difference between the Palestinians and the Zionists as well. I mean, it's not a case of...
What is the difference?
The difference is that Zionism is an extremist view. It's a terrorist view. It's ironic that it seems that after the bombing of the King David Hotel was the actual first instance of terrorism, of bombing in Palestine. The Zionists brought suicide bombings in. They brought the bombing campaigns to Palestine. The Zionist attitude is one of complete ignorance. It's a very callous point of view. It's actually completely diametrically opposed to Judaism, which is actually a peaceful way of living. They believe an eye for an eye, and so these people who've committed these crimes, under Jewish law, they do not have the right to enter paradise, and they claim they have ironically they have the same ideological views as the Nazis, and they've often been described as the Palestinians as the victims of the Holocaust. And the propaganda machine that Israel has is so well developed and so well honed. They put a lot of money into the media, really, so that they don't come off as they don't get seen to be the monsters that they are. Really, it's a real shame.
We know that a lot of countries, they got their own propagandas, but I would like to concentrate more on real people and how you as artists and other people in Bristol trying to help them, because that's why is it the 2nd? Yes, the 2nd of July is going to be Bristol Crew. They're going to go actually to Gaza and try to help them by different kind of projects, yes?
Yes, this is a completely humanitarian project. Essentially, this is the first trade mission into Palestine. What we're doing is we're actually joining a convoy headed by Ken O'Keefe, an activist and organiser of this particular convoy. And along with grassroots organisations in the UK, we're actually all going out in solidarity with the Samuni family.
And how many people going to go there?
We have no idea. Hopefully we'll have as many people as possible. We're travelling through Northern Europe to get there, which is the safest route. The last route we took was through North Africa, which proved to be quite tumultuous. The Egyptians under Mubarak's regime did not allow us to pass through the border, so we were stuck in Libya for a month whilst we were waiting. 13 people got put on a no-fly list, and there was a hostage situation where 9 of our crew were taken hostage and taken to Greece on a ship. Despite all that, we managed to get in. We only got 3 days in there, which wasn't enough to actually to complete our work. But I actually used graffiti as a positive means in there. I managed to sneak some paint in, and what we did on the last.
How did you do that?
I put it at the very most hardest point to reach in the largest vehicle, so they would have had to go through a lot to actually find it. I got footage on the board of them actually opening the truck, looking inside, going and closing it. I was like, yes, it's in. The first Art for Gaza exhibition was actually when we were stuck in Libya. I had the local pub and local exhibition hall booked for a show, and we were stuck in Libya a month, so I couldn't make good on that. So what I had to do was send images back via camera phone on a really bad connection, and we got local artists to get involved, and it was a really nice show. We raised a couple of £100, and that money went straight back into more paint and more supplies, and to keep the keep it going really. And once we actually get to a sustainable level of income, then we can actually start making donations, like regular donations to them. And we've got contacts within Egypt as well, which we're working towards, and to actually get supplies, to get good quality artist supplies is the main thing. To get good quality artist supplies and good quality teachers on the Gazan side. You know, we want to find people we can trust, and once we find those people that we know that are actually working towards the same as well, then we're going to fully put everything we have into it. It's going to be an exciting project. I can't wait.